Okay, this is day 5, page 30. Let us continue to use the previous example, that of death for a good cause, not of course because virtue is the only value or martyrdom, the only virtue, but because this is the experimentum crucis, which shows different system of thought in the clearest light. Let us suppose that an innovator in values regards dulce, decorum, and greater love hath no man, as mere irrational sentiments which are to be stripped off in order that we may get down to the realistic or basic ground of this value. Where will he find such a ground? First of all, he might say that the real value lay in the utility of such sacrifice to the community. Good, he might say, means what is useful to the community. But of course, the death of the community is not useful to the community. Only the death of some of its members. What is really meant is that the death of some men is useful to other men. That is very true. But on what ground are some men being asked to die for the benefit of others? Every appeal to pride, honor, shame, or love is excluded by hypothesis. To use these words, these would be to return to sentiment, and the innovator's task is, having cut all that away, to explain to men in terms of pure reasoning why they will be well advised to die that others may live. He may say, unless some of us risk death, all of us are certain to die. But that will be true only in a limited number of cases. And even when it is true, it provokes the very reasonable counter question, why should I be one of those who take that risk? At this point, the innovator may ask why, after all, selfishness should be more rational or intelligent than altruism. The question is welcome. If by reason we mean the process actually employed by Gaius Antitius when engaged in debunking, that is, the connecting by inference of propositions ultimately derived from sense data with further propositions, then the answer must be that a refusal to sacrifice oneself is no more rational than a consent to do so, and no less rational. Neither choice is rational or irrational at all. From propositions about fact alone, no practical conclusion can ever be drawn. This will preserve society, cannot lead to do this except by the meditation of society ought to be preserved. This will cost you your life, cannot lead directly to do not do this. It can lead to it only through a felt desire or an acknowledged duty of self-preservation. The innovator is trying to get a conclusion in the imperative mood out of premises in the indicative mood. And though he continues trying to all eternity, he cannot succeed, for the things is impossible. We must therefore either extend the word reason to include what our ancestors called practical reason and confess that judgments such as society ought to be preserved, though they can support themselves by no reason of the sort that Gaius Sentitius demand, are not mere sentiments but are rationality itself, or else we must give up at once and forever the attempt to find the core of rational value behind all the sentiments we have debunked. The innovator will not take the first alternative, for practical principles known to all men by reason are simply to the Tao, which he has set out to supersede. He is more likely to give up the quest for a rational core and to hunt for some other ground, even more basic and realistic. This he will probably feel that he has found in instinct. The preservation of society and of the species itself are ends that do not hang on the precarious threat of reason. They are given by instinct. That is why there is no need to argue against the man who does not acknowledge them. We have an instinctive urge to preserve our own species. That is why men ought to work for prosperity. We have no instinct urge to keep promises or to respect individual life. That is why scruples of justice and humanity, in fact the Tao, can be properly swept away when they conflict with our real end, the preservation of the society, of the species. That again is why the modern situation permits and demands a new sexual morality. The old taboo served some real purpose in helping to preserve the species, but contraceptives have modified this, and we can now abandon many of the taboos. For of course sexual desire, being instinctive, is to be gratified whenever it does not conflict with the preservation of the species. It looks, in fact, as if an ethics based on instinct will give the innovator all he wants and nothing that he does not want. Okay, I guess that's it for today. This is Minky, and please correct me if you can. Thank you.